Welcome back to the OpenAI Developer Certification course. In this session, we're going to guide you through setting up your system to run TypeScript projects that you can build on throughout this course. As we will be building all our code examples with TypeScript, we will need to install all the necessary tools to run our TypeScript applications. While TypeScript is often associated with web applications, we will avoid these larger web environments and instead run our TypeScript applications from the command line, simply using the Node command. We are taking this approach to eliminate unnecessary complexities typically involved in building large web sample applications. In this course, we want to only focus on the core concepts of the OpenAI APIs and avoid the distractions of working with additional JS and web frameworks. We will walk through installing and accessing everything you will need to successfully run the TypeScript applications in this course. This includes installing Node.js. This is a JavaScript runtime that allows you to run JavaScript code outside of a web browser. We will be using Node.js to run our TypeScript code. NPM. This is the Node package manager, which is used to install and manage the dependencies for our TypeScript project. TypeScript. We will be using TypeScript to write and compile our code, which calls the OpenAI APIs. And the VS Code editor. In addition to installing these components, you will need a paid OpenAI account and an OpenAI API key. This is required to access the OpenAI APIs. Also, you will have access to all the code samples in this course, which are available on GitHub. If you don't already have GitHub access, you can sign up for a free account at github.com. It is also highly recommended that you have access to either a terminal or command prompt, as we will be using the CLI to set up and verify our development environment. Before we start downloading and installing everything, let's take a moment to review the components we'll be installing and understand why we are installing them. First, we need Node.js, or simply Node. Node is the runtime environment we'll use to execute our applications. While Node is a JavaScript environment, we will be using the TypeScript compiler, a Node package, to compile our TypeScript code. The TypeScript compiler, known as TSC, technically does not compile our code. It technically transpiles our TypeScript to JavaScript. However, throughout this course, as it is common in industry, we will say that we use TSC to compile our TypeScript code and run our app using Node. Next, we need NPM. NPM is the Node package manager. This means that when we want to use a package in our project, we can use NPM to install it. Once that is done, we can then use the package in our project via the import command. However, there are two types of packages we can install. Development packages. These are packages that are used during development but are not required to run the application. Global packages. These are packages that run the application. Examples of development packages include the OpenAI and the .env Node packages. Examples of a global package we'll use is the TypeScript package. We will install our development packages using the npm install command from our project's home directory with the following command: npm install package name. This will install the package and save it to our package.json file. We will also install our global packages using the npm install command, but with the -g flag. The command is npm install -g, followed by the package name. This will install the package globally into the Node environment. Now that we have looked at the components we'll install for our environment, the last point to cover is our actual project development. For this course, we will be using VS Code for our coding IDE. Here, all our TypeScript code will be written in the code editor for nice syntax highlighting, and we'll use the built-in terminal to compile and run our code. We have now gone over the components we need to install and why we need them. What we need to look at now is how to get the OpenAI keys so you can access the OpenAI API with your code. To do this, you will need to sign up for an OpenAI paid account. Know that you will not have access to API keys with a free OpenAI account. Once you have created your OpenAI account, you will need to get your organization's ID and a project API key. We'll first look at getting your organization's ID. We'll do this first, since this is the same page you'll use to create the project, you'll ultimately use to get your project API key. Navigate to the following URL. https://platform.openai.com/settings/organization/general. Here, you will see your organization's ID. Go ahead and copy this and put it in a safe place as you will need it later. Next, go ahead and select the Create Project link and you will get a dialog. Here, type in a name for your project and save it. Remember the project name as you'll use it later to get your project API key. Next, you'll need a project API key. Here, you will navigate to the following URL, https://platform.openai.com/API keys. Here, we'll create a new project API key. Select the Create API Key button in the upper right-hand corner of the page. You will get a pop-up where you will need to select the project. You can choose the one you just created and then give your project API key a name. When you complete this, you will get your project API key. Copy it now. You won't be able to see it again. Put that key in a safe place as you will need it later when we set up our project. Okay, now that you understand all the components and you have your OpenAI organization ID and project API key, we'll next get everything installed onto our system.